So hello everyone, welcome to the OS1 video, and without wasting any time we will just get to what is an OS or operating system. In this video we will be discussing about the definition. Right, so OS or operating system is a program that manages a computer's hardware and optimizes its utilization. So what is the hardware in a computer? Anything that is like the motherboard or the chip, the CPU, all that things comes in the hardware, the memory, all that things comes in the hardware, and the OS, the work of the OS is to manage those hardware and optimize their utilization. And OS also provides a basis for application programs. So what are application programs? These are like the programs that you install on your desktop, right? Like maybe Adobe PDF Reader or web browsers. Those perform specific tasks given by the user, and the OS, the work of the OS is to manage them so that the user can use them efficiently. The other thing is OS also acts as an intermediary between the computer user and the computer hardware. So it is just the replication of the first point in the different manner. So to be clear, that OS is so you can basically think it in this way: the user, right? Then there is OS and there is hardware. So OS is here, user interacts with OS, OS gives instructions to hardware. Hardware maybe like monitor gives some instruction to OS to show something on the device, like the monitors, or maybe the speakers provide some sound, and then user can see, and the cycle goes on. So it is something like this, that OS is in between the user and the hardware. So coming to the design of the OS, so how vast is the, or maybe what is the range of the design of OS? So it ranges from the convenience to efficiency. So these are the two things, and majority OS lies in between them while trading them off. So maybe if you go for the convenience side, then Windows is a more convenient to use sort of OS. So it lies more on the convenience side, while if you come to the efficiency side, then it is like the Linux kernel, Linux OS, that is more on the efficiency side. And if you want just a perfect balance, obviously Windows is also, like, all of them are a perfect balance for themselves. Based on it all depends on the users that use them. But if you just come into the between, then you have the Macintosh OS, right? Mac OS, that is even convenient, but lesser convenient than what you say, Windows, and slightly less efficient than Linux OS. Efficiency not in terms of, if you see the MacBook, not the chip I'm just saying the efficiency, the sense of directly dealing with the OS, right? So that was my point. So before OS, we need to study about computer system as well. So OS is just a part of computer system. What is a computer system? It is an alive computer, and it is a computer that is currently getting used. So that is a computer system, and a computer system comprises of these four aspects, that is the hardware, the OS, application programs, and the users. So users here doesn't directly mean the user who is using the computer at that point of time, because it is not that point. The reference is not of those users. The users are basically the use cases given to different application programs that can be given concurrently. For example, web browser, compiler, spreadsheet, and word processors can be used concurrently, and each of them being used will be considered as a separate user. Although maybe a single user might have given all those instructions to all of these application programs via the OS separate, means at the same time, but separately, but it would treat each application program would treat it as a separate user. So we will see in a diagram below from the textbook only. But first let's complete this. So hardware comprises of the CPU, memory, and the input-output devices. Input-output devices like the keyboard, monitor, mouse, speakers, etc. And CPU is the central processing unit, so it is used for the majority computations and executing the processes. Memory is mainly for storage purposes, and then you have the RAM, random access memory. So we will discuss all of this in detail as we move further with this topic, with this chapter, operating system. Then we have the OS, obviously, and that's what we are discussing in this video. So getting to the diagram that I was mentioning. So basically we are here seeing the abstract view of the components of a computer system. So as I mentioned, you have the hardware, then you have the OS. OS deals with the hardware and the application programs, while the application programs like compiler, assembler, text editor, database system, and the users interact with these application programs, and the OS, they might give some instruction to these programs, and OS would take up these instructions, give to the computer hardware. Computer hardware would return a feedback, and they would again return those feedback maybe via other application programs that display the output, and so that user can see them. So that is how a computer system looks like. This is the standard structure. And if we come to defining an OS, so can we define the OS now? So there are 2 point of views. The main point of views are the users. Now here the user reference, the reference of the user that I am saying now is the user V, who use the computers. So I am a single user who is using the computer at some point of time. So this point of view is with respect to me. So what is important to me is the ease of use and the convenience, that how easily I am being able to interact with the computer hardware via that OS. Then obviously I don't care about resource utilization, not in that manner that it hangs or maybe the performance goes down, not in that way. Resource utilization, that means what is going on the backend, what algorithms are being used, and how efficient has the OS, how efficiently has the OS used different resources it has. So I don't care about that, but I do care about performance. So resource utilization might be poor, but still the performance might not be visible to us. But at some point of time, if the resource utilization is too bad, then the performance might come into the picture. So that's why performance is definitely important to us. But in general, in nowadays, such systems are designed for a good single user experience only. So that's all the user cares about. And some notes here are that if you have multiple users, right, who want to use different, like you can have multiple users for your Windows. If you are on Windows, then you can have your multiple users for family members. So shared computers, basically the computer is same and you share some resources with each other, the same resources. There are shared resources on the same computer, same device, same machine, like mainframes or many computers. Okay. And then there are dedicated systems like workstations. So if you go to a weather workstation, or if you have read about it, then there are a number of machines connected in a chain via a network, and there are servers managing that network. So these servers also have some shared resources and they can exchange information. But just the difference is that in mainframes or many computers, the device is same, the resources are shared on the same computer, but here the resources are shared amongst the different computers on the same network or the same servers. Okay. So the OS for them are different types of OSs. Then we also have handheld computers, basically mobile phones, who don't have a physical keyboard. They used to have in old phones the keypad, but in nowadays we don't have the keyboards or the mouse, right? We do have a screen, just like monitors in our computers, but that screen is made touch screen nowadays in smartphones, and you interact with that screen via touches only. So the way of interaction also comprises in the user's point of view, that how the user is being able to interact with the hardware. And then there are some even with no user interface. So they are also called the embedded systems. And the simple example of that is if you are in a car and you have a button to lower down the windows and close them up. So if you press the button down, the window goes down, and if you pull the button, then the window goes up, right? So there are some with no user interface. So those are called embedded systems. Now coming to the system's point of view. So this was user's point of view, what we see, but what goes on the back end? How does the computer system consider OS? So system's point of view is always the same. It says that OS is my resource allocator and OS is the control program. OS will decide what resources to be used at one point of time, and control, it will control that which process should be executed first, what task should be completed first, what task should be switched in between. There should be a context switch. So we will get into the depth as we go further with the subject, but that's the basic outline, that the system considers OS as its resource allocator and control program. So finally, can we define the OS combining these users point of view, systems point of view, and whatever we discussed above? So some people say standard definition is whatever is shipped by the vendor when you order an OS. If you order a CD of Windows 10, Windows 11 or Mac or anything, then whatever comes in that drive or the CD, whatever comes up to install on your device, that is all OS. But that there is no universally accepted definition. Some people consider there are some it depends at different up to different foundations. Different people have their definitions of OS, but the most followed one goes with these three. The OS comprises of the kernel, application program, system programs. OS does not comprise of the application program, system program. That is all that is comes in what the vendor ships to us. But OS is closely related to application programs and system programs, while kernel is the standard definition of the OS, and it is more popular when you consider Linux. So we call it Linux kernel and not Linux OS. So it is Linux kernel. You can call it Linux OS, but in that community we more sort of tend to say it kernel, not as OS. While apart from kernel, what else comes is the application programs and system programs. Application programs, as I mentioned, like your word processor, spreadsheet, compiler, web browser, etc. And the system programs are something that we will discuss when I will start the system software playlist, right? So I think we are done for the video, and I think you are clear with the definition of OS, what is the OS, and the fundamentals are clear. So let's meet in the next video. Thanks for